and I didn't hear anything. And usually in my business, if you don't hear something in about 2 or 3 days, well, first of all, when I do an audition now, I forget about it, you know, because I cannot fixate upon whether something's going to come or not, right? And so I just do it, I let it go. Then about 2 weeks later, my agent sent me an email and said, "I want you to know you're still in the running for the show." And I said, "What show?" Because I totally forgot about it, you know. And he's like, "The Shrink Next Door. They just said you're still you know, being considered for the role." And then about 2 or 3 days after that, they called and offered the role. Yeah, and then it just was, you know, shooting the whole thing through the COVID and all the restrictions and the complications and how amazingly production handled that. But we were able to, I think, put together a really, really amazing project.
Nice. I'm looking forward to watch this.
Yeah.
So Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell are legends in the game. Have you always wanted to work with them? And how is it like working together?
Well, you know, it's been amazing. You know, super, first of all, two of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Like genuinely, two of the nicest human beings, just humble, gracious, generous, obviously super talented, you know, but just a pleasure to work with and a pleasure to watch work. You know, I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of stars, a lot of celebrities, but the thing I always say to people is stay a student, always. So I learned a lot by working with Will. I learned a lot by working with Paul. And it was wonderful, you know, and it's wonderful to be contributing as well. You know, I'm at the point in my life where I've developed my craft. I have a lot of knowledge and experience, and it was nice to actually get an opportunity to be at that at that kind of level of project, which I was really grateful to be able to be part of. You know, so I can't say enough about how wonderful those two guys are. And I think people are going to be really, really surprised by this project, you know, and the kind of emotional and psychological depth that was required for everybody to go to.
Talking about psychology, so shrinks in the series, who we refer to here as psychologists, do you think it is important to have a psychologist, or do you believe replaying one's past can certainly cause more harm than good?
Well, my belief is that you cannot outrun your trauma. No matter what you do, if you have childhood trauma or significant trauma from cultural experiences or home life experiences, it will catch up to you at some point. Human trauma is something that, as a species, we are giving validity to in a way that we never have before. The impact that it has on us intergenerationally as well as individually. And so I think it's essential. I don't know, a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or, you know, how you get at it. There's so many different ways now in therapies and treatments, recovery programs, 12-step programs that address the, you know, human wreckage, you know, the cost of living in a painful world and in cultures that are largely, in my point of view, that are largely insane and factories of pain. So absolutely, I think, and particularly as actors, I think it's essential. Yeah, I think it's essential as an actor. If you've got internal crisis, acting is not the place to work that out. Right? You don't use your trauma to act. Your trauma restricts your emotional, psychological, and imaginative availability. So you work on your trauma so more of your inner life, your emotional life, your imaginative life can become available to you, so that you have fuller access to the parts of yourself that were cut off because of what you might have experienced. And so it's essential to not think, if you've got pain inside of you, that there's a cathartic movement that you can make in acting to get rid of it, because you won't, and it's dangerous. And any acting teachers that tell you that, don't go to them. Don't go to them. If they tell you to go into your pain or go into your trauma, stay away from them. It's dangerous.
What would you recommend? Like to, let's say, to connect to a character, what do you recommend to go to?
As far as what? As far as like psychological help, you mean?
Yeah, because I've been told, like in my drama classes, my teachers told me, you know, like you just said, go look for an event that looks like what you're supposed to be acting if you've been heartbroken or something like that, to get tears coming to your eyes. So what do you recommend if you say that?
Well, you know, one of the things I recommend that all actors do is clown work.
Yeah.
Clown work is an effort, and Chris Bays is one of the big teachers of clown in this country. I recommend doing clown work because what its purpose is to get at what is called the unsocialized self, right? Yourself before you were told, no, don't do this, don't do that, don't say this, don't say that, be quiet, shut up, no, 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 right? So before, your range of expression got narrower and narrower and narrower in your culture, in your family. So what I say is that the human emotional range is like the keys on a grand piano, of which there are 88, right? And most of us learn to play about maybe 10 or 15 of those keys, maybe 20. And so what I believe recovery work can do is help us more and more gain access to all those 88 keys. And because when you see a great piano player, I went to Juilliard, so I got to see some of the best piano players in the world. When you see a great piano player, they are not catharting. They're not putting their trauma into that. They are highly skilled, highly developed, they have great and easy access, unconscious access to all that range of expression. And out of that comes the story. Out of that comes the character, not digging. And so when you do clown work, you realize you could cry like that. You can rage like that. You can access yourself very easily if you keep yourself practiced in doing it. It has to become, I believe, a daily practice where you allow your inner being and your inner emotional life to be available to you. We are sensitive creatures as actors, right? We have a contribution to make to the culture because we can go places and access things that people come to see us in order to feel themselves, right?
That's great. It's true.
Yeah, that's our contribution because we're willing to expose what every human goes through, but most humans cannot express.
Yeah. But that's why at the beginning, people started to switch off the lights in movie theaters because they wanted to hide the fact that the audience was crying. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So we are here to, show them what they don't want to express, what they want to hide.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. You want to watch someone else express things and feel things that you want to hide. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Most of us grew up, it's shifting a little bit today, but most of us grow up in cultures and family systems that do not validate a full range of expression.
Yeah.
And we have to relearn that. We have to relearn that.
Like things like boys don't cry or things like that. Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. All that boys don't cry, be seen, not heard. Don't trust, don't talk, don't feel. All these kinds of things that we're taught that impact us because little kids are sponges and they're just trying to belong and fit in. So they're going to contort themselves in any way they need to adapt to any circumstance that they're being raised in. So there's a lot to recover in all of us because I believe all of us in some way have been injured.
Yeah, true. So let's get back to The Shrink Next Door.
Let's get back to it.
There's a lot of comedy in it, but in the trailer at the end, it looks like it's more dramatic, should I say. Is your character Bruce, right? Bruce?
Yes, Bruce, yeah.
Is he funny or more into the drama?
I think Bruce and Kathy are the kind of workers in the company, right? So Robin Bartlett plays Kathy. So we're the kind of like the old time employees. And so I think we do provide some comedic relief, but I think largely the show is more of a dramedy than it is a comedy. I mean, there are comedic elements in it. But I because of the subject matter, you'll see it's kind of haunting, and I think people are going to be very, very, because the story is shocking.
Okay.
Right. So, and that it is a real story is even more shocking.
Yeah.
And so I think whatever comedy arises is not out of, it's not like a, punchline comedy, it's situational. It arises out of the irony and the paradox of the things that people are going through in the show. And I would say Bruce he has elements of both. There's some funny stuff, but he's quite a poignant character for me as well. I mean, I experienced him as such. I experienced him as a very real and three-dimensional person.
So, which leads me to the next question, which is, if you had to describe Bruce with only one word, what word would it be?
Oh, loyal.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it almost makes me cry because, it's because I can remember, certain scenes I had with Will where it was so beautiful how much I cared about him, his character Marty, and just how deeply concerned I was for his well-being, and I think Bruce was. I think he saw what was happening in the company and he didn't know what to do about it, but he was fiercely committed to helping in any way that he could to avert a disaster.
Yeah. Oh, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Let's play top 3. So this section of the show gives us a chance to find out the personality behind the actor. Okay. Starting with your top 3 best TV shows of all time.
Oh, wow. Oh boy, there's so many. The Wire.
Yeah.
The Wire. I mean, I'm a child of the late 60s, 70s, so I gotta say All in the Family. I gotta say All in the Family and Good Times.
Okay.
And then I'm also a science fiction freak. So I have to put Battlestar, not the original Battlestar Galactica, which I loved, but the modern Battlestar Galactica. Oh. I just think that was I watched that almost end to end without moving. But I really love science fiction. I know it's not a genre that a lot of people are in love with.
I get you. It transports to another world, makes everything possible. Yeah.
And the other thing I liked about science fiction that I like about it is that, I grew up very violently. And one of the things I like about science fiction is that I know that violence isn't real. I know it's futuristic and space age, and it's never the reality of violence you might see like in The Godfather or something like that,
Yeah, true.
So fantasy.
We all like to dream, right?
Absolutely.
So, what are your top 3 best actors or actresses?
The first 2 that come to mind are Meryl Streep and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Ooh, yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis is, I think, just in another category from everyone. And I know I'm giving more than 3, but I think the next 2 would probably have to be Denzel Washington and Anthony Hopkins.
Ooh.
There's so many, but what I appreciate, the actors I love the most, and I know this about Meryl Streep, and I know this about Daniel Day-Lewis, and I know this about Anthony Hopkins, they are masters of the craft of acting.
Yeah.
It's said that Anthony Hopkins, I would die to work with. Anthony Hopkins, it's said that he reads a script 150 times.
Ooh.
So his level of craftsmanship, his level of skill, his level of commitment, his level of analysis, his level of curiosity, his level of investigation is amazing. And that's what you find.